Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah Al-Kawthara, Surah Al-Asr. If these are your go-to surahs that you mindlessly choose as you enter the salah, then this video is made especially for you. First of all, a moment of silence for how guilty we are feeling right now, because I'm part of this category of people. But then again, welcome, because we're going to fix this in this episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So in this video, we're going to look at the connection between the Quran and the Salah, and how we enter the Salah intentionally with with surahs that we pick intentionally when we're going into the Salah. So usually our go-to surahs are picked already when we are in the Salah. And I'm so guilty for this. I'm not speaking from a high podium, looking down on anyone. I am part of the guilty category. But one way I thought about achieving a more present Salah is being able to pick out these surahs with more presence, with more awareness of what is going on for you. So Surah Al-Nas, Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Asr, Surah Al-Kawthara have a very beautiful, in-depth meaning. And I'm not trying to say that they are not surahs we should use, but they are convenient because they are short. So someone will think of them offhand. So if you have a situation that is connected to these surahs, then very well, please be my guest and choose them for your salah. But if these are your go-to surahs and you're choosing them mindlessly without thought, and you're choosing them within the salah and not outside of the salah, then your salah is going to lack a sense of connection. Yeah? So how are we going to achieve this? How are we going to have a sense of connection in relation to the Quran we are reciting? This is so simple, it can easily be done. As you're going into the salah, what is the thought? What is I would call it, the highlight of your thoughts at the moment? What is that thought that keeps coming? It could be stress, it could be happiness, it could be sadness. You are going to get a verse or a surah tailored around the emotion you're experiencing. The Quran is so comprehensive in nature that it has all these thoughts catered for. Allah has a response or a story about these thoughts. So when you come into the salah, you are coming in full awareness of the emotion that is the highlight at that point. If the highlight is happiness, then pick a verse connected to happiness and recite it in the salah. Because what you're saying, what you're reciting are the words of Allah. So in the salah, it's like you are reminding yourself of what Allah says to you in that moment of feeling sadness, or feeling happiness, or feeling stress. Yeah. So let me give an example. There's a time I was really stressed about something I don't remember right now, alhamdulillah. But the surah I picked that day that connected to my stress was Surah Al-Inshirah. Surah Al-Inshirah is the famous surah that has فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. So the beauty about reciting verses is that the experience we have outside of the salah that is stressing us is usually an incomplete ayah of the Quran. And when you go to the Quran, it's able to complete your feeling of sadness with counsel or with comfort. So if you're feeling happiness, you're able to complete this with a beautiful ayah of reminding you of the gratitude that comes with, let's say, of the gratitude you should feel towards Allah, or of how Allah is a Razak. Any surah connected to the rizq of Allah can be used in relation to feeling happy. So I remember this time I picked Surah Al-Inshirah, and the beauty about these surahs is they even have action points. So you're reciting in the salah the words of Allah, and then He's giving you an action point in that surah. An action point that changes your mindset, that gives you a plan of action after you've recited, that clears the path for you. that brings you a sense of clarity. So after reciting, I am stressed in this moment. So I step into the salah and start reciting. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك. And in this surah, Allah is talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and He's reminding him of the burden He took away from him. So as I internalize this verse, I'm able to acknowledge that I have previously had stressful situations that Allah has taken me out of. So Allah is posing a question to the Prophet, but also I'm posing a question to myself from Allah, that haven't we removed stress away from you before? And put off the burden that you've had. And raised your mention. So know that with this stress you're currently experiencing, there is ease that you ought to also be aware of. There are good things that could be happening that you're not being attentive towards. So do not be so focused on this difficulty. As I'm internalizing what I'm saying in the salah, my heart starts to settle and my heart starts to ponder on these beautiful words of Allah. And I'm able to find comfort in the surah that I'm reciting, because it's connected to what I am experiencing. It's not a surah I mindlessly picked like in my other salahs. So I was able to connect to it. And after feeling that calmness, after feeling that reassurance from Allah that things are going to be okay, in that moment when I say Allahu Akbar, I'm acknowledging that the stress is not greater than who Allah is. So I'm acknowledging it from a place of gratitude, from a place of being thankful to Allah for giving me this peace of mind. So I say Allahu Akbar with so much happiness, and I go into ruku and continue with my salah. So what I'm trying to say is, find surahs connected to what you're experiencing. This is so beautiful in the sense that it does not limit you to Juz Amma, which has the short surahs. If you are someone who has been looking for how to connect to the larger surahs, you can pick a verse, because the Quran is so comprehensive that it has all the human experiences you can think about. If you are looking for a job and you haven't yet found it, go to the verse where Prophet Musa alayhi salam has left his home and is now stranded, and he calls out to Allah, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin fakir. Use that verse and enter the salah, and now embody those verses and speak from your heart, because those are the verses that are connecting to your current experience. And eventually you're going to realize that the salah actually prioritizes your experience, because your experience is one of the major parts or the most important parts to establish this connection with Allah. If you're not acknowledging your experience, then you cannot connect with Allah. So come into the salah with a surah in mind. You can have one or two surahs, then you enter the salah and recite them and embody them and internalize what they're trying to tell you. Enjoy them and praise Allah for the comfort that comes with His words. Yeah. So let me take you back to me when I was reciting Surah Al-Inshirah in the salah. So after acknowledging فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا, I'm now calm. Then there's a following action point Allah has after saying Inna ma'al usri yusra. You have acknowledged that there is difficulty and there is ease, but also the difficulty might be so pronounced for you. So Allah at the end says, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ. So when you are done with your outside work, stand up. وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ, and turn to your Lord. Basically, this acknowledges that whatever difficulty you're facing, even though you haven't yet solved it, you can turn to Allah. This is the action point, that in your difficult time, be able to, Allah is providing for you a space to express, to vent, to bring out all the discomfort in salah, or in Qiyamul Layl about this whole experience. How is it stressing you? How are you exhausted about this? How are you feeling hopeless? Allah is saying, when you are done with the worldly obligations, come to me and tell me about it. Because He's saying, وَإِذَا فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ. And to your Lord turn and basically talk to Him. Like, tell Allah about it and tell Him about your whole experience. He's willing to listen. He is a Samir. So this is an example of the beautiful nature of the surahs and how they complete for us our experiences. Our experiences, whenever they bring stress, they are incomplete ayahs of the Quran. And visiting the Quran, you are able to complete that ayah with comfort from Allah, with hope from Allah, with His words. So if you enter the Salah and recite these, you are able to feel calm, to get a sense of clarity, to have a sense of hope, to have a sense of comfort from Allah Himself. If you feel like this aspect is not familiar, I want you to think of, I personally have seen this in Juma. When you are in Juma, I saw this with one of my teachers. And whenever we were in Juma, he would be the imam for the Juma, and he would be the one who is preaching. So when they are speaking in Juma, they are speaking about aspects that are connected to what we are experiencing currently. Let's say Gaza, the what should I call it? The war in Gaza, or let's say, if we're experiencing like COVID, we had Jumas that would be talking about COVID by the time the lockdown was lifted and we could go into the mosques. Or let's say there are riots and there's a topic that is generally affecting the public. Yeah? So the person in Juma is talking about this topic. And when you notice, when he goes into the Salah, he'll have an ayah that talks exactly about this topic, because it enables him connect in the Salah and then complete that ayah with the reminder of Allah about how He's always there for His servants, or the counsel of Allah, the comfort that comes from Allah, that Allah is all these beautiful attributes, that Allah is Al-Ghafur, that Allah is Ar-Rahim, that He is that He is Al-Hakim, that He is wise, that He is Al-Ghafur, He's always forgiving, that He is Al-Malik, that He is the King. So when you're internalizing all these aspects and the attributes of Allah come at the end, let's say, of the surah you're reciting, you're able to find comfort after internalizing that Allah is there for you through His attributes, through reminding you of who He is, and the fact that Allah is the one you rely on, and the one you rely on is the most majestic in the dunya, and that alone brings you so much peace after the Salah. So that is how I use surahs, or how I use the Quran and bring it into my Salahs. That helps me establish a sense of connection to Allah, sense of connection in my Salah, and to live the Salah with more comfort, more ease, more clarity. So basically, when you go back and you want to implement this and you feel like this resonates with you, just assess what is the highlight for you, the highlight in terms of emotion or in terms of experience, what stands out right now. And then go to the Quran, just Google it even, what Quran verse talks about sadness, and then go and pick it out and check the Arabic and check the English, and then go into the Salah to recite that. You don't need to get the whole long surah if you're not yet well conversant with these surahs. Just pick out the verse that connects to you the most and then go into the Salah reciting that. I hope this has been of benefit to you. I hope it has an impact. I hope it helps you feel the sweetness that comes out of being a practicing Muslim who connects with Allah. Otherwise, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.